But you have to know your craft because, you know, I'm not the director. And if I want to work and I love working, you're going to work with a lot of different directors, and their style is going to dictate what you can do. And you know, sometimes you'll deal with like, oh, I didn't see a Jello bowl in your reel. How can you shoot Jello? You're like, what are you talking about? Like, I can shoot fucking anything. Like, what? But some people, like, you know, but it's a comfort with what you can do that knows that you can light a piece of Jello just as well as you can light a car.
Yeah, there's many different ways to light Jello. And a good director chooses a DP that has a style because he knows how to light Jello. Okay, so there is that. And there's more than one DP out there.
I absolutely love Christos's work. And I don't know how many times since the last 3 years when I've been working more in LA and New York, I've thought to myself, I wish I could get this jackass out of here and get somebody like Christos in there. So, I mean, really, people who concentrate on composition. Because I think what has really started to happen is that directors don't storyboard anymore, so they really don't take the time to craft the shot in the first place. They get out there with, you know, the visualization map that they believe they have, right? And their own gusto and ego, and then it's supposed to all unfold magically for them. When Alfred Hitchcock and Orson Welles were poring over, you know, index card-sized millions of them across this table, figuring out how each one of those shots was going to evolve.
That's a style. That's a style. Gough, Fellini, some of my favorites would never do that. It was all spontaneous. And there were other great independent, you know, classic filmmakers that would just do shotless, no storyboarding. There's a time when the storyboard is what you need. There's a time when it can kill your project. You should think about that. Okay, since you've brought that up, let's go to you in terms of your style of filmmaking.
I'm not a director, so yeah, I'm writer.
A writer.
And then producer, so I do have some influence over where it's going, especially in the television side where I've created the project and then we're hiring a director. So,
how would I write like you, know that so I can be you and say I'm doing an homage or produce like you?
Volatility. I like things to have kind of a symphony, right? There's moments where it's going to lull you in and it's really going to get you invested in these characters and where they're going and what they're about and who they are, and then all hell breaks loose. And that's what I love. I love seeing the audience kind of rhythmically falling into this set of sequences and then shaking the shit out of everything that they thought was going to happen. So that would be my style would be violent, a conflict, but with, you know, I also like to make sure that all of the loose ends are tied together in the end. So the summation for me in my work needs to be very satisfying. I don't think, like, one little thing would drive me crazy if the audience didn't know where that one character ended up at the end.
What would you do if there was friendly fire? Because I'm like that too, like one of your crew members essentially did something so stupid that you lost some time. I mean, how would you be if that happened? Like friendly fire. You know? Some guys would say, it's okay, we're going to get around this, don't worry.
Not at all.
You know, shockingly, you know, you would think, you know, my fire and brimstone and having been a football player and coach in another life, that I would be kind of a drill sergeant, but I really, again, I go the other direction. I'm really passive when it comes to people melting down, right? I go the other way. I'll go, you know, I will be the coddler.
Yeah.
And then I'll turn around and the next day, if they didn't correct themselves, I'll fire them and they'll be gone and we won't have to worry about it anymore. But I do give them a chance to resurrect themselves. If they don't come back in 24 hours and recover, then that person's got to go.
How many chances do you get? Just one?
Just one.
No
You know,
strikes in there?
they have to recover immediately, right? The bounce, you got to see that resilience,
Yeah.
because we're talking about a 21-day shoot, a 24-day shoot, a 36-day shoot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I have some similarities to you as well, but the person I fire, I give them a different job. They become water person. And they learn from that, they work their way back up. You know, because I figure, look, you know, I mean, I had an assistant who somebody asked me if I would take him on. His name was Joey. and I have to have my espresso every day. I have my shots, and I taught him how to make the espresso, and I would get it, and it was terrible. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm keeping the same coffee grounds in there, making it the same coffee. What did I teach you? Then I go into my trailer, and there's like the smell of rain everywhere. I go, what did you do? He goes, like, well, there were bugs. I go, yeah, but I'm in here. And now I smell it. That's two. So you eventually had 3 strikes. So I made a water boy. I made him shave his head. I said, you're going to work your butt off, and you're going to thank me later. But you're not ready for an assistant job. So, I mean, there's a similarity there, but you did it 3 times, you know. But, I mean, it's friendly fire. You can't do that.
And you know, I'll go back and hire guys that we fired in certain circumstances, not because they missed the boat on a task,
Right.
but if we fired them because they just weren't the right person for the project,
Right.
later on I'll find a project that I do think they're right for.
Right.
Personalities.
Well, how do you know? I mean, you thought they were right, but it turned out to be wrong. How does that happen?
I don't, yeah, this will sound egotistical, but if I made the decision, they were right. You know, if somebody else made the decision, and I got saddled with them, and then I had to let them go, and then bring, you know, I'm pretty meticulous about the HR process, because again, we've got 20 days, right? We've got 2 weeks.
Right.
Music videos, we've got 2 days,
Right.
right? It's gotta be just right.
Right.
So, the worst thing that can happen is here comes AR, and here comes, you know, Christos, how many times have you dealt with this? Here comes the label, and there's 2 people that have got to be a part of this music video, and you're like, what? We're a family at this point, right? We've been together 12 hours. We're a family at this point, and they got to throw 2 people into the mix that we didn't think were going to be there. And you have to be, and I think that the point was made here that you fall in love with the process, right? So if there's 5 or 6 tangents that are not on track, they're not part of the ball game, full steam down the tracks, you have to cut loose of them quick.
Yeah, so that's a style of producing, you know, being a bit of a hard ass, but, you know, and being able to, I think it's also very important to be flexible, because if the executive producer wants their daughter, you know, in the crew, and the money's coming from the executive producer, you gotta be flexible.
And then you do panels and bitch about it later.
Well, not if you want to get money again to do that movie. So there's a certain flexibility sometimes, and you got to outsmart it. You got to find the right job to make it work. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Lance. How will we make a film? Or just write a script in your stuff?
Let's start with film. Style is very hard for me. I don't like to copy people. Where like people who have influenced me are Elia Kazan, Frank Capra, and Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Because they tell a story, and it's simple and it's stupid, and I love that. And that's what I stick to. In terms of writing,